This is a short presentation just to introduce how we see the markets are moving in the engineering offshoring space. What we have in there is not just engineering, what is today, but how is it different from IT. India's offshoring or services environment, when you talk about it, the default assumption starts from IT and then you move from there to engineering and other things. We believe it's very different. Its genesis do lie in the same roots as IT. IT is a big part of the pipeline, we established it. But going forward, as it matures, it needs to take its own form, shape, and size to ensure it gets the maximum value it can in the industry that it is in. Also for India to capture the market desires to capture. Also, unlike IT, engineering is a lot more competitive in the world. The world understands this criticality to the overall economic output of a country, criticality in other industries, employment, manufacturing, so on and so forth. And we'll talk a bit about that. So to start, engineering lies at the core of many companies in the world. I mean, those who are sitting there and beyond that, like Chrysler, Ford, and of course JCI, these companies were formed by a founder who had an idea, a product or technology around which the companies were built. PD in such environment by default becomes the center of gravity for a company. It's not that it's less critical or more critical than the other factors. IT is important, so is HR, so is finance. Engineering just is in a league of its own. You can't run a company if you take the PD out of it. IT is critical. There will be major discomfort for everybody if you take it out, but without PD, it's non-existent. PD came to the world in 2,000, 3,000 years ago when the man made the first wheel. IT is relatively new. The value of engineering comes from the fact it resides in the center of the value chain for the manufacturing, engineering-oriented companies. Everything else is linked to everything else, that's true. But PD is the fulcrum on which everything, the way we see it, rotates. And that has a big implication on the vendors, the captives, companies in India for trying to exploit it, trying to go into it, trying to make it a profit center or a value center. Unless you treat it that way, it will be very difficult for engineering to give you what you want from it. Just to give an example, since it's the automotive forum for the most part, taking Toyota. Toyota is the world's biggest company now in terms of sales of cars. Most profitable for sure in the industry. And they being our client, we are fairly intimate with how they organize and how they function. Now quality, reliability, durability is the one pillar of Toyota. Other one is cost. These two pillars are all based on one key thing, engineering or product development. Everything is designed to support it, to work with it, and to make it happen. This gives you a flavor of how critical PD is. And when vendors in India or those companies in India try to say, we will do engineering offshoring, they have to understand they are addressing the core of a company, which resides on that very attribute. We're trying to take it from them and work with them going forward. The engineering landscape is moving. Engineering is not static. In 1900s, when the engineering really came to the fore, the blue side says where the center of gravity was, all in the West, Western Europe, US, Canada. Today it's changed. You see a lot of yellows coming up. South America is coming in, India, China, of course Eastern Europe, Turkey, and so on. It is moving. The center of gravity is shifting towards the right. And as we go forward, what we expect by 2015, India, China will be as large, if not larger than other critical markets in the world, at par to US, Russia, France, Spain, and so on. So engineering is moving east. India is the right place at the right time. Offshoring has given it the basic substratum on which to build upon. Once we put things in place, we can make it happen. Companies are responding to this movement along with the fact they need capacity, capability, partnering with the academic institutions, so on and so forth, are moving with it. In 1900, 99% of engineering was done by companies in their home market. Today, the number is more like 60, 50%, depending on the sector you're operating in. In automotive, it's even more globalized. With China coming up as the fastest growing market in the world, already is number 2, number 3. By 2015, you can say it's number 2 in the market. India is growing. Nano story, India growing at 20% a year in automotive sales, is pulling engineering into India. So engineering offshoring is actually a misnomer to a large degree, and we had today morning a closed door discussion on that very issue. It's more globalization. It's building a global footprint to meet the global needs and global customer base of an OEM or Tier 1, regardless. This is an example of one of our clients. 100 years ago, or 90 years ago, when this company was there, all the engineering was residing in one place at one time, North America, and something in Western Europe. Today, this company is planning to globalize it in true sense. You have Chennai, Beijing, Shanghai, Changchun coming up, Eastern Europe coming up. This gives a flavor of what engineering is going to be like in coming years. Given the criticality of engineering, given the center of the manufacturing-driven industry, and manufacturing is the first sector most countries go into when they go from agriculture to the evolved economy, countries are fighting for it. On this chart, the yellow are the countries which are relatively passive about it. If you go put an engineering center there, you're welcome, but nothing special out of it. Orange, they're aggressively seeking it. India is one of them. The red are really going after in a very aggressive manner. To them, it's a strategic industry, it's a national defense issue, it's a long-term criticality, and so on. Here, this is the flavor of who's fighting for it. India has it, because India was lucky enough, English-speaking population, large technical pool, which could be harnessed. IT industry with Y2K established a basic pipeline to send work from Western Europe, US to India. Engineering piggybacked on that. But in terms of aggressively building it, example is China, or even in many cases Czech Republic. The kind of incentives they're offering to the companies operating there, kind of support is being offered to them. It's a matter of time they'll catch up. Yes, today India has a lead because of the language, and North America and the UK are still the big drivers of it. But going forward, as France, Spain, other countries come into the play, as Asian markets grow, China will have a very strong say in the market too. This is a big market, and people see it, and they want a part of it. Already, we believe the market for India will be over $40 billion by 2020, assuming India takes the requisite steps to get it. Our projections in 04 for 07 were in line to where they are. In fact, in some cases, we were more conservative than reality. There is a second last slide. This is just the flavor of India is important. India is leading today by far. When you talk about engineering offshoring, offshoring been defined as a company or a group of people sitting in a low-cost country servicing a high-cost market. China, Mexico, Czech Republic are behind, not that far away. However, what's worrisome is if you fast forward it, and assuming things happen the way they're happening, the gradual movements, China will overtake India. China has added advantage of good ecosystem, good domain, good large industry overall, not just in automotive, everything else too. So India has to do a lot more in terms of putting in place right incentive, attracting the right things, to ensure that India keeps its place where it desires to be. With that, I'll give it to Mohan.
One quick question I have for you is that India has to do several right things that you said before India could probably be as good as China, if not better than China. So could you throw a little more light on that?
It's IT in India is there. I mean, the competition is a lot less actually. Engineering is a hard-fought thing. People are fighting for it. When I came in, we had examples we were going to use. But last night, we were sitting on a dinner table, and one of my clients said, I was in the hallway, and a person from Chinese technology park approached me and said, why are you in India? Why can't you be in China? That's aggressive marketing. To come into the NASSCOM forum and market yourself is a perfect way. But that's what's required of those things, that dimension, that nature. To add on top of it, the government policies. Now, government will do what it can, but a few key levels are only controlled by the government, ranging from infrastructure, education system, taxes. And it's not that it wants to or desires to. If it wants to play in the market, given what others are doing, just to survive, you'll have to do it. Otherwise, you will lose the companies going to India, to China, Czech Republic, Thailand, Malaysia, and so on. So, NASSCOM has a role. Vendor has a big role. It's your business. You have to build it. But the government actions on few critical things are non-replaceable. But those are macroeconomic issues to be held by the government, not by individual or company.
Thank you, Vikas.